And we are live. Oh
You need
gosh.
some sort of like trumpet fanfare that you can just like smash when you go say we're going live.
I could pick up a cat. She makes a lot of noise.
Bunny, Final never told you what happened to your bank account. I am your dollar.
How did my dollar
It's
get
not
all the way to
reaction.
California?
No.
I'm kidding.
No. Impossible.
It's the password. No.
Good evening, and welcome to the most ridiculous podcast full of 5 nerds on a Friday night.
No shit.
Don't forget the cat.
I mean, that was a good alternative name, but I like our current name more, especially the slogan.
Yes.
Hi, Prissy. Hi.
Meow.
Yeah. Are you eating the zoomies? Yeah? Okay.
Well,
Good to know.
oh,
We all
no,
hit that
Thursday night
mode
I
every
get
now
to
and then.
Sleep in. I get to sleep in.
No.
So I was just like,
You
no.
know better than that.
Oh, I'm so sorry,
Get
Jim.
away from that. Right now.
Are you talking to me or your cat?
Why don't you come
Does it
over here and
matter?
get on your... You don't get on your bed. You know better than that. I'm glad to see you.
It's a little better.
Timing was
Cat
perfect.
shaming. Cat shaming 100%. Where's the tag on Twitch? I need cat shaming. Okay.
I
Anyways,
went too far.
thanks for joining us for another Starport Omega Podcast. And today running our podcast is Tom Tardis, so he's going to introduce everybody and lead everything. So I will switch it over to Tom.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, we're doomed. It's true. We really are. So, you all, I mean, obviously, I'm Tom Tardis. And we have Bunny up. Let's see. On her screen, I'm not sure where she is. Yeah, there's Bunny. And then Final Millennium up at the top there, a.k.a. Brad. And Jim. Hi, Jim. Say hi. Wave to everybody.
Prove that
And
you're
then,
alive.
of course, there's my iPad, which shouldn't actually be in there, but that's the one on the bottom. And tonight we actually have slides. I thought I'd put some slides together because
Someone's going
I
to
was-
abuse us with PowerPoint.
that's right.
We have people in the background.
Yeah, and we have a larval stage humans back there. They promised me they wouldn't be too annoying, but they're already accomplishing that goal.
So they're proving themselves to be resilient teenagers.
Something like that. Yeah. So we have a few things we wanted to talk about. We got a little bit of Star Trek news for you, a little bit of chatter from the Star Trek Lowerdecks specifically. Judd and Brad both had some rants and ravings about the recent PC scene, including hardware availability. In fact, both of their stories are about hardware in different types of hardware. Bunny's Corner today is intelligent thoughts on dumb things. And
I'm looking forward to that, actually.
Thank
she
you.
has one of those topics that doesn't seem like a big deal until it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And
And I've got a few examples of that, and it's not just like me personally, it affects an entire community. So
yeah. And I read a lot. I literally have an addiction to books. I used to spend more money on books than I actually could afford, which caused me financial trouble. So other people are addicted to heroin or cocaine or marijuana. I mean, for me, it's books. So I had a couple of thoughts on
lefties.
books, and yeah, and something that I think is the greatest thing ever for people who just like to read a lot. And we'll talk about that a little bit. And then the old man in the mountain is gonna. I don't know what he's going to talk about. He's keeping a secret from everyone, but whatever it is, it's going to be profound. And Jim's looking at me like, what are you talking about?
He's like, I'm doing something? Or are you winding me up?
I'm looking at Halloween costumes for my cat. I'm trying to figure out which one to annoy him more. Very profound.
Dress your cat up like a spider. It's always a winner.
Especially when it jumps.
What's funny, I clicked on
Oh.
cat and it showed me pictures of small dogs. Maybe they're trying
Show
to
of
say
hands, who has actually seen all 8 episodes of Star Trek's Lower Decks so far?
Well, if I had my camera on, you wouldn't see a hand, so it doesn't matter that you can't see it. I have been so consumed with school and a certain new addition to the video game
Okay.
lineup that I
yeah.
haven't really paid attention to much else.
Yeah, I know. We've all been playing that.
So in other
the
words,
server.
I just have to, anytime Final gets on, I just have to kick him from the server and be like, no, go watch this. This is your new homework. I'm going to punish you by making you go watch a TV show you enjoy? What the fuck, man?
That's my kind of
We need,
torture. Hurt
we need to
yeah.
get we need to get Bunny to add a spoiler alert overlay to her OBS so that we can because there will be spoilers.
Yeah,
Have you watched the latest episode, Jim?
This is entirely
The latest
tagged.
episode of Lower
I
Decks?
have the Twitch
Oh.
stream tagged with spoilers. FYI.
Oh, okay.
Spoilers!
So it's one of the
So-
tags listed.
This is something that amused me. I just realized this last week as we were watching the show. I watched the credit sequence every time because it's funny. You know, the starship, the story of the Cerritos is the ship that constantly gets beat up and comes back from black holes and alien babies suckling on its nacelles and God only knows what else. Well, we have here the Cerritos showing up in the middle of a battle with the Borg, between the Borg and the Romulans. Now, spoilers for Star Trek Picard, what is the big plot device in Picard, other than the fact that there's, Data's androids are running around? It's that Borg cube, right?
Yeah.
Well, the Borg cube can't fit, it blew up, it stopped working because it assimilated its very first ever Romulan crew. So I have decided that this scene you're seeing right here in Lower Decks is actually a prelude to Star Trek Picard. And the real beginning of Star Trek Picard is not Romulus blowing up, because Romulus blowing up had no bearing on the series. Had nothing to do with the plot other than the fact that it made his life a little harder. This is where it all starts, right here. In fact, I've decided that it's this ship. I've decided it's this ship right here. That's the one that gets blown up. And that's the one that has the Zhat Vash operative that causes the entire Borg cube to short circuit and disconnect itself from the collective.
Hold on, my cat decided to start my washer. Give me a sec. Chrissy, stop trying to do laundry, please. Thank you. Okay, she actually stopped. We're good. I could hear it beeping.
The cat actually listened?
It's open, so it'll automatically actually start. That's why I opened the washer. Yes, I do. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So the question we have for all of you guys, Lefty, she's helping. So the question I have for you guys, is this a Picard prequel or is this just coincidence? Because I also have heard that we actually did a little research on this, and apparently the guy who built the title sequence is I want to say Mark Harmon. Anyways, he's the same guy that helped create Mark Harmon was Community. That's right. Anyways, he's the guy that helped create Rick and Morty, and apparently when they created this title sequence, they didn't actually know the plot for Star Trek Picard. So this is not literally a Star Trek Picard preview. I think this perfectly ties in, and it's a great. I think it's a great work of coincidence that they can take credit for. So.
Yeah. Okay.
This episode, what did you guys think?
That is every school project that we've ever worked on where we were like, okay, so sure, you want to actually help, you actually want to do something, cool. For the first time in forever, we're not having to do all the work, and the dude fucks it royally.
Sounds like my last group writing project.
Have you guys ever had one of those projects where like one guy does all the work and everybody else just coasts along? And
yeah, I'm usually the guy doing all the work, which is usually the exact opposite.
What's
Yep. We're the nerdy
interesting,
group.
What's interesting though is we think that he's dumb, because remember, like the second half of the episode, he's a total idiot, but that's because the machine drained his brain. He was actually smart before he got stupid. Which is the funniest part of all.
But the thing is, he was stupid enough to sit there and upload his brain, like that stuff, to begin with.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but to think about it, that requires kind of an insane amount of intelligence to figure out how to build a machine that
Don't go
interfaces
there.
your
Don't
brain
go
with a
there.
ship's computer.
I really don't think we can call that intelligence.
Well, okay, I mean, yeah, a lot of people compared this to Reg Barkley. So I have come up with a new term for this guy.
Who's
He
Reg
Barkleyed
Barkley?
himself.
You should
You haven't
show.
seen?
No,
What?
no. I'm just saying, like, not everyone knows who that person is. Please show a face.
You know what?
We
I
showed
don't have
faces
the.
last time.
That's true. Let's see if we can get Reg Barkley up.
Okay. I've got you up.
Reg Barkley is. Okay, are you seeing that, or are we still seeing Lowerdecks? Let me see if I can get it into the Lowerdecks window. It's not wanting to cooperate. Give me just a second here. Whoops. Too far.
PowerPoint lacking Berkeley. Yes, Gorilla. Yes. I
Yeah,
agree.
Okay. There we go.
Okay. If you're going to
Now-
reference a
now we have it.
movie.
Okay, so
Oh, gosh.
the story is that Reginald Barkley, aka Murdoch from the A-Team, Reg is smart, but not very bright, if that makes any sense. He's extremely
He's intelligent but lacks common sense.
yeah, he has we call it social anxiety today.
No. That's my ex-husband.
Oh.
Gone through 6 cars in 5 years.
And I'm going to set aside the whole holodeck part of his adventure where he's doing apparently inappropriate things in the holodeck. Just to talk about the fact that he builds a machine that hooks his brain to the Enterprise's computer and then drives the Enterprise to the center of the galaxy. And that thought still, and a lot of the reviews for this episode talked about that, and they drew a parallel between Barkley going to the center of the. Here's the machine right here. Oh, where is it? There's the machine. And that machine interfaces with his brain. So of course everybody's like, "Oh yeah, he pulled a Barkley."
To say the
Does
least.
not take into account possible consequences of his actions and just goes, "This sounds like something cool. Let's do it. That might explode the ship."
But what actually happened is he got probed by an alien, one of the alien mind probe things. I forgot how he got shocked by it, but he got zapped by an alien machine that gave him super intelligence for about 2 days.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What else were your thoughts on that episode? Anybody have any hates, loves?
I love how they automatically go against the other working shift because that is true to how real jobs work. And it's like, oh, it's all third shift's fault.
Yeah, it's all that gamma shift. Whoops. I keep going. I keep wanting to go to that next scene. I must really want to go to the next scene badly. There we go.
Clicky clicky.
It went by itself that time. I didn't want it to. Okay. When they go in there gamma shift. And and what's funny is I just watched the episode with Jellicoe, which ties into next week's episode because the Mariner's like, "Oh yeah, Captain Jellicoe babysitter." And Jellicoe's big thing was, "Well, Riker, you better give us 4 shifts. I want 4 shifts on the Enterprise." And Riker's like, "Well, that's going to cause significant personnel problems." And because if you think about it, if you have 4 shifts, instead of 3, that means you need more people. And the ship has a fixed crew, and they're like, he wants to make 4 shifts out of 3 shifts worth of crew, and you can't do that. So,
Right.
Speaking of next week's episode, something else that occurred to me as I was watching this episode, Jim. Well, who was the youngest captain in Starfleet history?
Well, it used to be Kirk. Did they do it again another way?
James T. Kirk. That's right. How old was he when he took command of the Enterprise?
38.
38? I thought he was 31.
31.
Okay. So,
What are we talking? Officially ranked captain or temporarily assigned the rank?
the rank of captain.
Spot
according
Data's
to-
cat is the
According to
youngest
Star Trek
captain.
lore, yeah.
That's right,
According to
Fiona.
Star Trek lore, Captain Kirk was the youngest captain to take command, the youngest person to be promoted to captain and take command of a starship at that point in history.
Correct.
So, what that tells us about these two characters. So the woman on the left here she's the babysitter captain. So now the question that came to my mind as we're watching this episode is, we have Mariner, who's an ensign still. She went to the academy with Captain, whatever her name is, Captain Babysitter here. So they're the same age, which means the Captain Babysitter is at least 31 years old. She's probably in her late 30s. She's pushing, let's just say she's 35, pushing 40, somewhere in there. So now you got to ask yourself, we're all talking about how brilliant Mariner is. But what's really happening now is we're seeing a woman who could be captain still as an ensign.
She's been demoted. Remember that. She has been demoted.
Exactly.
Multiple times.
Are we looking in this? So again, are we looking at Starfleet's youngest, hottest captain on the left, or are we looking at Starfleet's oldest ensign on the right?
I mean, both?
That's possible.
Realistically, it's possible because some of the stories she's spouted off required an obscenely high rank.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, some of the diplomatic missions she was on would have required a
Judd! I will drink to that. Cheers, Judd's with us.
And here's something that I thought about the other day while I was logging in and saying, Judd! I have a greeting for everybody in this group right now. I mean, Judd comes in, you saw what happens. Brad comes in, I'm like, Brad.
Or more likely, oh, it's Brad.
And Bunny gets a Bunny. I'll hug him and squeeze him and call him George. And then Jim comes in and I'm like, hey Jim.
That's because you and I have known each other for 25 years.
It's true.
Which either means you were friends at a really young age or you're both very old.
I think we've both been at each other's houses enough. We feel like we're probably related. When your brother walks in, you don't go, Tom! You go, hey, dude.
Actually, the story there is I was in college the first time, and I was working for the school. You try to get a job at the school so that you're there 27 hours a day, right? And
they had the best toys.
They did. I was installing RAM chips in all of the computers in the computer lab in room 530, I think it was. And I'm going through, and there are IBM PS2s, so you have to actually start the computer up and run a program to tell it that the new RAM is installed. And Jim's one of he was the lab monitor for the lab session. He also worked for the school because he wanted to be there 27 hours a day. And he comes over, what are you doing? What's going on there? Do you have to do anything special to make that work? And it was like that conversation led to 25 years of hanging out. Like, and
hey, you've got the top off. Let's look at this.
Yeah, what's going on in there? And we spent, and I swear to God, for like 5-6 years, every Friday night I went to his house and didn't leave until like Sunday morning when I had to go to church. And then I came back. It's been another 7 or 8 hours there until it was too late.
Yeah, we actually ended up just setting you up a computer in the house so we could play LAN games.
I did. I actually brought a second computer to his house and set it up. So we would watch Star Trek on Saturday night, all 3 hours worth of Star Trek and then Babylon 5. And then we go back to playing Doom or Quake or Command and Conquer or
Command and Conquer. We played a lot of Conquer.
So we were a lot like Mariner and I can't remember her name. And we were a lot like these two, always hanging out, always getting into trouble. Yeah, we did a little covert action back in the day, met up with some Klingons and raided the neutral zone for supplies. Hey, Judd, how's it going? What are you eating?
I'm going to go with food.
It's yummy.
Preferably delicious.
By the way, everybody, we have Judd.
I think he's
I don't think you can.
I don't think you can. Now I'm up.
I thought maybe he thought.
So I'm eating it.
Did you get to watch last night's Lower Decks?
Maybe.
That's a nice way of saying, no.
Probably.
So Lower Decks, I think last night's episode was probably the most ridiculous premise of the series so far.
Well,
and I
it's
don't
got
want to
Mark
ruin it.
Hamill involved, so the ridiculous scale is very different from normal.
I don't want to ruin it for those of you that haven't watched it. So I'm just going to highlight that Q has a cameo, and it is basically just a cameo, but it's hilarious.
If it
I
has
hate
Q, I'm gonna
Q.
laugh my ass off.
And Rutherford has the Vulcan implant, right?
Yes.
Rutherford's Vulcan implant is actually more effective than he is. And that's really sad when you think about it.
So what you're saying is basically he's a human mech suit being piloted by Vulcan logic.
Every time the implant reboots, he wakes up in a different place, having done something incredible with no memory of what just happened.
So MacGyver on a bender?
Something like that.
Okay.
And I'm going to say, and Judd, what did you say about it earlier today when we were talking, Judd, about Lowerdecks?
Huh?
Dude, I swear to God, I'll drive over to your house and inject you with caffeine.
I personally, like I said last time, I set out not expecting to like this because I could not stand Rick and Morty. But this is quickly becoming the highlight of my week.
I told you guys you had to give it a chance.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
and-
like Community. I originally didn't like the first season. It took a long. People kept saying it's so good, it's so good, it's so good, and he was the primary writer behind that. And by the time season 2 rolled around, I freaking loved that show. It was hilarious. You didn't know exactly where it was going to go each episode.
Mhm.
You know,
And that's one of the things that pisses me off about a lot of shows is within the first 5 minutes, if you're really familiar with the series, you can predict where it's going to go.
so my brain just did a rewind. The Starfleet Academy isn't always the same age groups. It's
that
if you think
is
about it like the
true.
college. I started college at 14. You know, which is very untraditional, but so if we're sitting there thinking about it, she could be a couple of years older than Mariner. Mariner might be a couple of years younger. They just might get along. Like I get along with all of you.
But they still would have had the same amount of time in service.
Yes, same amount of time in service, but not the same age.
Yeah. So it's possible that Captain Babysitter was like 15 going into the academy, and Mariner was a little bit more
Right.
mature.
To
Or the opposite.
emphasize that point, look at Wesley. How old was he when he got admitted?
He ended up not getting in there until he was 18.
Yeah. But
Even though he was
applied and met the requirements several times.
he was as bad as Riker about not getting off the Enterprise.
So yeah, no. So I had to throw that in there because I was sitting there like thinking about it for a while.
I mean, this isn't mandatory education where there's a set age range.
Yeah,
That's
it's
true.
not the No Child Left Behind Act where you have to take 4 hours of class at the high school until you're 18,
Well, I
even
have
if
to
you're
say,
in college.
I would love to think that education in the future is more self-paced and they're more interested in results than in the particular pedagogy or method.
What, you didn't want to say pedagogy
Pedagogy.
or pedagogy?
I
never got a clear answer on which way is the correct way to pronounce it.
I don't know. I said I was going to say pedagogy.
Tina, what is your thought on all of this? I'm pretty sure you're still there. I'm hoping you're still there because I love your input.
Who? Cricket.
It takes them. Yes, Peanut's still there. So what do you think your input? Never seen Lower Decks. Okay. So do you think it's possible that they're two different age groups? You know, maybe one's a couple of years older than the other type thing. Have you seen Star Trek? Do you watch any of that? If you don't, that's okay. We're still happy you're here.
Well, the Spot was Data's cat, so obviously he's not completely ignorant of the Star Trek universe.
Yes.
And he has watched the highest example of the series, which is the Next Generation.
Yeah. I haven't had my data mug out because, like, I have my drinking glass out instead. But hey, I haven't been doing coffee during our podcast. I've been doing something else. Whatever. Anyways, Tom, continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to get off on such a tangent. My apologies.
I was expecting last week's episode to be all about Q. I thought it was going to be a Q episode, and it turns out he just did a cameo at the end. But
I'm so glad it wasn't an entirely Q episode because the Next Generation made me hate Q so much. I went to college
But
right
they
out of
did,
high
but-
school. Big mistake. My closest friends were in their 30s after their enlistment ran out. Heck yeah, I totally get that. My closest friends are in their 40s. Hi, guys.
I'm not in my 40s, damn it.
Okay, you're the exception to the rule.
I'm not in my 40s.
Wait,
damn it.
I'm the oh
Wait.
god, I'm the second youngest person on the show.
You're
Holy
okay.
hell.
You're older.
Oh wow, that just
What?
registered.
What now?
Aren't you older?
I
I'm
think
the
I'm
second.
the oldest one.
Yeah. Tom is within 3 years of my mother, and my mother was young when she had kids, so
Damn. I could be your dad.
you could be my dad. That is correct.
Welcome to one of the reasons why I don't hit on women at my college. It is extremely weird.
Hey, when
For
I
real.
ended my college career, I was a peer mentor administrator to transfer to a 4-year institution. So basically, I got free classes. Kinda. One a semester. But that's about it. That's how they
So
pay you.
shortchanged you.
Oh, yeah. But hey, man.
Whereas me, I had to work, 20 hours a week and was paid minimum wage.
Yeah. So, but no, when I ended, my last year of college was 2015, and that was the first year no one walked up to me and asked me if I was here to see my mommy or daddy. Or calling me cute and ask me if I'm lost.
Aw, you're so cute.
Honestly, I'd rather have that than people coming up and asking me, Professor, where's this class? They think I'm a professor.
Oh,
I'm in jeans and a t-shirt and they think I'm a professor.
so Peanut,
Yeah, well, you are in
I
California.
assume there's some way to get enlisted as crewmen, so they can move up in commission. Peanut Gorilla got
You
debt
are?
with college, and I did too. Raise your hand if you got debt with college.
I didn't,
It
Yeah.
only took me about 6 years to pay off, actually.
but I also
got lucky.
worked full time while I went to college the first time.
Always,
The comment,
real quick on that whole Army helped you. Always go back and ask recruiters what paperwork's being put through. Hey, Hog Bucket.
Oh, yeah.
Ask recruiters what paperwork's being put through. That helps cover Army veterans that have left. Because a lot of things like that are updating every 5 to 10 years. And
Mhm.
sometimes if you get it within a couple of year range of when you graduated, year range is usually 5 to 10, you can usually get a little bit more help or assistance with paying it off. And it's just a little update. And sorry for knowing a little too much. My dad was an Army recruiter.
To answer Peanut Gorilla's comment, yes, actually, in Starfleet there are crewmen and there are commissioned officers. If I remember exactly, I cannot believe I memorized all this at one point. You have crewmen, and then you have like crewman first class, and then it goes to petty officer and chief petty officer, something like that. In Deep Space Nine, Miles O'Brien was the chief of operations, and his rank was actually chief petty officer. So he was the highest. A chief petty officer is the highest non-commissioned rank you can have in this man's navy, and apparently in Starfleet it's the same way. Which is weird because O'Brien had lieutenant's pips in the Next Generation, and his rank changed like 3 times during the course of that series. So I think he should have been a lieutenant in Deep Space Nine. I don't know why they demoted him to enlisted man.
He must have done something really bad.
Peanut Gorilla
No,
said an
actually,
entire.
Peanut, there are non-coms, and then but the thing is, it goes from non-coms. Most of the people on the Enterprise are officers, and they have like 8 ranks of officer because you've got ensign, and then you've got there's actually a hollow pip for like first like junior grade ensign, and then there's a senior ensign, which is the solid pip. And then you have the 1.5 pips for lieutenant JG, and then 2 pips for full lieutenant. And then the third pip is hollow for lieutenant commander and solid for commander. Then the fourth pip, there is no hollow fourth pip. There's just go straight to captain. And then you have like 3 or 4 ranks of admiral. You've got rear admiral and admiral, and then vice admiral, and then admiral of the fleet. And apparently there is also a rank called captain of the fleet somewhere in there. And I don't remember what the captain of the fleet does, but that's been mentioned twice in 2 separate Star Trek episodes. And
If they're
Commodore,
following if they're following the military tradition, there is always a single officer that outranks everyone. But since admiral or admiral of the fleet is the highest you can go, they have to have something over that.
so
Like
captain
the
yeah,
5-star general in the United States military can
Hmm.
only be presented to a general to head their division during a time of war. Otherwise, it's 4-star generals with varying years of service.
I
I
will
think it
look
might be
that
something
up.
like that.
I will look up what captain of the fleet specifically does, because it looks to me like captain of the fleet was like it looked to me like that was based on the context, like it was like a brevet admiral, where he was a captain of the fleet was captain of a small flotilla of ships. He would be in charge of 4 or 5 ships. And by
They're
calling him
equivalent
captain of
to
the
Commodore?
fleet, then they're the equivalent to Commodore, yeah, because that's what a Commodore is. There's no official rank of Commodore, except that you sometimes will stick someone there if you want to make him a flag officer.
So
And,
real quick,
True.
so if you guys are just joining us, we are actually talking about the exchange of like Star Trek military officer rankings versus like what our real life stuff is and the tiers, because we are talking about Star Trek's Lower Decks tonight. And I'm going to tab over to that. So we're talking about that, and we're also talking about a couple of other things that was discussed in the opening. So if you are really into the technical side of things, thanks for being here. I did tag it correctly, so I'm happy. And I'll let them get back to their discussion. But yeah, no, I just wanted to... Oh, no, it's fine. Totally fine. Hey, Haba.
I love our digressions. I love our digressions the best.
Everyone
Peter,
say
so
hi
you
to
are
Haba.
absolutely not,
Hey, Haba,
hey,
Haba.
Habakkuk.
Hey, Ota. Is it Ota
cadets,
Kuman? Hi,
we
Ota
have crewmen,
Kuman.
petty officers.
Otaku man, 5,000.
Otaku.
So we actually have 7.
Otaku.
Otaku.
We actually have 7 enlisted ranks.
And
There
a
are
lot
two
of this is a play off of... Is that the Navy ranking? Is that what that'd be based off of?
These are
Yeah.
it loosely based on naval rankings. Yes.
Okay, cool. Hey, I still
Starfleet
remember
does-
stuff.
we've
Aw,
had-
thank you
as
for
Jim
the
has pointed out,
follow.
we've had a couple of as Jim has pointed out, we've had a couple of Commodores in various episodes.
Well,
Go ahead.
what I was trying to say is there's 2 types of Commodores. There's a Commodore that is the beginning of the Admiralty, and there was another Commodore that is a visiting captain on a ship, because there is only one captain on a naval vessel. So if another captain is on board for whatever reason, they call him Commodore.
Have a
And
good
it's
night,
just
Otaku man.
understood, because he's the same rank as the captain, that he's not called captain.
Yeah.
However,
what's
if
interesting,
you're in command, then you can be a Commodore and a captain at the same time.
in the book, I can't remember the name of the series. There was
They always refer to someone as their highest rank.
There was a book series where a Commodore is the commanding officer of a starbase, and it's like a 5 or 6 book series. And
It is
That's-
also possible, since it's also the beginning rank of the Admiralty.
okay, so that would be somewhere between fleet captain and rear admiral, lower half.
And-
Does anybody know if I know there's not a Commodore in the American Navy. Is there a Commodore in other navies in the world?
Yes, British Navy.
Yeah.
Okay, and where does the Commodore sit?
Below admiral. It's the
Below
lowest
admiral.
level. Commodore is equivalent of flag rank to what we would call second lieutenant. In other words,
Yes.
you're
Okay.
the lowest level officer possible of that
Correct.
Oh,
position.
okay.
That is correct.
And I'm gonna make a suggestion here for the next great science fiction writer. I like naval ranks. It's a nice, easy system. I like Star Trek's ranks, I should say. It's a nice, easy system to remember.
Aw,
But
thank you
I
for
would
the
like to see what confuses
biddies.
me is in like Army and police, for example, put commanders above captains, and it's really weird. But what I would like to see is
Thank you for the biddies.
captain not be a rank, but be a post. In other words, you can never attain the rank of captain. Instead of captain, I'm proposing we put major in that spot. So we go from commander to major, and then from major to admiral. And a major would typically be then the commander of a ship or the commander of a small space station.
Thank you for the biddies, Peanut.
That's just one thing that always bugged me about
Well, that's
about ranks
basically
is we always call these guys captains, and it's like, and good lord, in Battlestar Galactica we had like 3 different captains. We had the Captain Apollo that ran the flight deck, and then we had another captain of the ships, of these various ships out there, and then we had Commander Adama. Why is a commander above a captain in rank? Their ranks were all messed up.
Because a captain is the highest rank you can get in their section.
Yeah,
Commander outranks all of them because
in
they're
the Air
the
Force,
overlord of multiple subsections.
well, in the Air Force, the captain is a completely different rank structure than in the Navy as well, which is so. My thought was that in Battlestar Galactica, for example, that they were using Air Force and Army ranks rather than naval ranks.
I mean, if you want confusing, go look up Honor Harrington's rank system.
Oh, good
It's
lord! No
straight
thanks.
up the British system.
No thanks.
It is so bizarrely complicated.
I don't know
what
why.
the hell's a midshipman?
I had a hard time reading. A midshipman is an ensign. They are the lowest. They are the lowest. They are the
I
lowest
know, but
commissioned
looking
officer.
at the actual way the phrase of the title goes, midshipmen, I was like, well, is there a lower shipman?
Yes, there's
the lower shipman.
Why do you think they call it lower decks?
Exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, they call them
but
lower
they're still
deckers.
ranked people. And I was like, if
The higher your rank, the higher you were on the ship back in the Navy days when you were in the water.
Okay, so
Lower
let's
deck,
go ahead
literally.
and get back on topic.
Middle decks is where the ensigns and the middle things were, and the captain had his cabin on top of the deck. That's where that came from. It's just like the word posh in Navy. It means port outbound, starboard home. So you're always on the sunny side of the ship.
So I would like to thank Vecteezy for his circuit vector artwork for our new segment, Super Geek Bros. So these are our two
worst game ever.
Our two other buddies that love to talk about technical stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
The first
I'm a nerd for tech stuff. I literally have spent half of today reading about the new Power V10 instruction set architecture.
Power V10. Tell us about that.
IBM's new power. It's the refresh of the power. IBM's power architecture. I've been reading the technical details and schematics of how it works and what they've done for the new release that's coming out in 2021.
So PowerPC's not dead.
No, it's actually been used in mainframe and high-end stuff for years.
Oh, okay. So it's just Apple that gave up on it.
Yeah. I mean, PowerPC still was very popular networking equipment till late 90s when I forget the name of the instruction set. MIPS took over because it was cheaper to license and manufacture. IBM, they want their chunk of change.
Yeah, and MIPS and ARM became the two mobile chips of choice for a long time.
Yeah, MIPS couldn't scale, whereas ARM.
Yeah. Back in the Windows CE days, when you had the first handheld portables that didn't suck, you had to when you were downloading programs, you had to ask, is that one for MIPS or for ARM? And if you had a MIPS processor, you couldn't use ARM software. So if you guys will notice, on the pipe that goes down into the netherworld, we have a GeForce RTX 3080 Ti plus Super. Judd.
Titan.
Judd, you're up.
Well, I did try to snag up a 3080 last week or the week before when they went on sale. Seems hardly anybody was able to actually grab one like they wanted to, but NVIDIA and all the add-in board partners are like, oh, we're sorry about that. We'll try to do better. And with a 3090, they didn't. Apparently, it was just as much of a shit show as the 3080 launch.
You mean the 2080?
No, the 3090 launch was just as much of a shit show as the 3080 launch.
Oh,
3090
they didn't launch. I thought they launched at the same time.
No, they launched 3090 yesterday, and I'm willing to bet the 3070 is going to be even worse. That's going to be in another month.
Yeah, I'll wait for the 3080 Super to come out in 9 months. Like they screwed me over with my 1080. Well, you notice that
right.
price gap? That price gap where it's like $799 and $1299. There's a real nice sweet spot right there for about the $900,000 mark to put a super model.
No, it's not going to be a supermodel because if they put it in a supermodel, it's going to replace the existing regular. What they're going to do is give you a 20 gig model because that's the going rumor is there's going to be a 3080 with 20 gigs rather than 10 gigs.
20 gigabytes of memory on a video card.
Isn't that awesome?
Well, the
Isn't that
39,
awesome?
24 gigs.
Why do we need a CPU anymore? Let's just run everything on the graphics card.
Intel already tried that and it blew up in their faces. Badly. It's spectacular. Anybody remember Intel Phi?
No.
They tried to turn the micro or not even micro nano x86 cores, very simple 8086 processors basically, and instead of putting a dozen on a chip, they put 1,000 on a chip and included a bunch of local memory. You can literally mount this processor on a board. You don't even need to install RAM. It's got like 8 gigs on chip and install Windows on it, and it'll run. But what they try to do is use that as a way to beat NVIDIA and AMD in the graphics market. And for certain jobs like rendering or really mathematically non-floating point operation intent systems, it blew the living crap out of AMD and NVIDIA. One small problem. You want floating point? Didn't work out well.
Peanut Gorilla says there's a computer out there called the Machine that runs entirely on RAM, no processor.
I gotta look that up.
That sounds like
What?
a Turing. Not Turing. That sounds like a Babbage machine.
It would still require some
It
kind
has
of
to-
processor to handle the data moving around.
Yeah. It would have to have some.
RAM. You have to have something that can actually process stuff. They say there's no processor. Bullshit. There's got to be a processor there. Otherwise, what's it going to do?
Yeah, as the basic computer processing model goes, input,
And there goes Tom.
Output.
Anyways,
You want to broadcast this live to the group?
No.
The Machine. HP Labs. Okay, I'm intrigued.
The Intel Phi was based off of previous work called Larrabee.
Yeah, it was their x86 based GPU.
512 Pentium class processors with MMX.
They're gonna flatten memory and storage. Okay, so just I'm gonna take us down the computing science road for just a second here. What they're saying, well, the model they're talking. So right here they're talking about a computing
Can you
model
zoom
that
in?
stood unchallenged for 60 years.
Can you zoom in
Pardon?
on that? Because I can barely see that.
Yeah.
There we go.
So every computer built today is what's called a von Neumann machine. Von Neumann machine, correct. Yeah, sorry. So what von Neumann said is he's famous for two things. He's famous for this computing model as well as the idea of the self-replicating machine that basically goes out and builds copies of itself and sends those out. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about computers. The von Neumann machine has actually, before the von Neumann machine was built, computers kept their instructions separate from their data.
Yeah, the Cambridge architecture.
You would load your programs into the computer on a tape or punch cards or something like that, and they would get executed in this like fixed structure that you couldn't really change dynamically. In fact, originally computers were literally hardwired to run a single program. You were literally plugging and unplugging cords to program the computer. What von Neumann said is, hey, let's create an instruction set and put these instructions in the same memory that we use for our data storage. And then the processor can cycle through the instructions one at a time and do the thing that, the way you've learned how a computer works. And then the other part of that, of course, is our modern computers all have separate storage. So when you run your program, you take all your data that you need that's relevant, and you move that from your working memory, your RAM memory, to a fixed storage medium. We call that online storage, otherwise your hard drive, floppy drive, something like that. So it sounds like what HP is talking about doing is by fusing memory and storage, they're going to basically get away from the idea of having separate RAM, and like your entire hard drive is going to become your computer's RAM.
Sounds
So-
like they're trying to push their proprietary version of
Real
NVDIMM.
quick. Do you see the blog post on the side there that says 2015?
Yeah.
For someone who worked in an HP factory, I can tell you that they run outdated equipment. Their workers have to work on outdated equipment. So for this to actually,
why would you give the expensive stuff to your employees?
Yeah.
And
I'm surprised
thing
we
is,
weren't
we were
using Windows
talking-
98. Just saying.
We were talking about this same idea back in the 90s with a technology called holographic memory. Jim might have remembered reading about this in Computer Edge, because we were talking about it a lot when it happened. When that issue was. So holographic memory would basically be like, literally something straight out of Star Trek. You'd have this block of material, and it was 3-dimensional block that stored memory using lasers to scan to individual cells. The technology was supposed to be so fast that you could replace all of the RAM and storage in your computer with a multiple terabyte block of optical storage. And it was supposed to be so fast that you wouldn't need RAM anymore. And it would do exactly what they're talking about here. You would simply address 2 terabytes of memory, and it would be non-volatile. You could take it out, put it in a pouch, take it to work, plug it in, and all of your working memory was there ready to go.
Yeah, that sounds just like non-volatile dual inline memory modules.
Unfortunately, it also turned out to be a bit of a pipe dream, and we still don't have holographic memory. The closest we have is...
No, InPhase produced a functioning holographic data system in 2015.
Peanut Gorilla said, fun fact, I say things with complete confidence and then end up being wrong a lot. Trust me,
Dude.
We all do that.
You know what?
I get my ego kicked by everyone in this chat room constantly. It's good. My ego needs to be kicked.
I say walk with confidence, brother, because sometimes, 9 times out of 10, you can pull it off just by being smooth and confident enough that people...
That all leads into what's going on with my section, which is kind of interesting because this whole lockdown has led to a very interesting situation with PC component availability. Specifically, let's start with video cards. Usually 6 to 9 months before a new card launches, and this GTX or RTX 3000 series has been hugely leaked. For months, we've seen tons of leaks coming out. The custom cooling system, the fan layout. Someone managed to get a power schematic out. I don't know how, but they did. A lot of us thought it was BS because it was way too much power. It's like there's no way they need that much power.
And by the way, if you manage to get one of these, please contact me and send me pictures, because come on.
Yeah. Post the video card prawns. So normally 6 to 9 months, these manufacturers, the aftermarket manufacturers, see that there's this rather steady sales after the peak of demand. So 6 to 9 months before a new video card comes out, sales tend to hit a cliff face and fall off, because I'm not going to spend $900 on this board when 6 to 9 months. That's going to get me a much better board. The typical wait 6 month mentality in the PC world.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that's interesting is this happened to coincide right around the time where the human malware took off, and the lockdown became don't leave your home, period, if you can help it. So
Human
interesting
malware,
thing that it's accurate and it doesn't get you banned from YouTube.
Well, it doesn't get you banned. It's not that you get banned from YouTube. It's just you get demonetized on YouTube because, hey, you're talking about this thing which we want to make sure that only people talking about actual facts go through.
If you try to have an opinion on the subject, you get screwed. Even
Okay,
if you're
let's
just trying
continue.
to
Let's continue.
crack of the whip.
But
You need a
somebody
whip.
wants-
Get
Somebody
that
wants
freaking
to play
soundboard
our.
up.
She really wants to get back to her thunder lizards.
That's
Is what's
exactly
going on.
right. I've got birds breeding. Let's go.
Yeah. So anyway, instead of there being a fall off like they expected, and they've got warehouses full of the 2000 series, they saw sales increase to higher than launch. The demand was higher than it was when the video card came out.
You
That
know, they had.
demand cleared warehouses.
Hold up. My brain just made a connection. Okay, you ready for this? They had the
Oh.
same thing happen to the Buzz Lightyears when Toy Story was launched. They didn't put out enough Buzz Lightyears for the demand that was out for that because of that movie.
I remember, yeah,
Yep.
because it was such a cool toy. Well, not only that, but everybody wanted the toy that was just like the toy in the cartoon, in the movie, and they literally did not make that toy. You
No, they
cannot
didn't.
buy a literal Buzz Lightyear, but yeah.
Well,
It's
also,
Disney. They'll make it
Just
somehow.
saying. Anyways. Go.
So
Keep going.
the interesting thing is they've been fighting hard to meet this demand because factories have been shut down for months. No matter how automated these factories are, there are still humans involved in the supply chain. So
hmm
they run into issues of production yield or production quantity. Then you run into production yield on top of that. It's just been this perfect storm in the PC components.
another thing-
Motherboards have been difficult to get and have been sold out for months for a certain niche and certain anything outside of like really expensive like $500 plus motherboards has typically been sold out. Power supplies are the ones that caught me off guard. Power supplies are good luck getting them, or you're going to be paying a lot.
Hence, sorry, not sorry. And
Yeah, no,
I don't have the power.
yeah, but we've all built computers here. How often do you replace a power supply?
Not very.
No.
No,
But
when
I'll
you
tell you
need
what,
when there's a new connector standard, or when you need more power, or it's bad. Those are usually your three factors.
You know what surprised me though is I'm finding power supplies at Best Buy now. Couldn't it used to be you couldn't find them there. Now you can buy
You
power
couldn't
supplies
find
and
components
cases.
at all.
Now you can buy power supplies and cases at Best Buy. I'm waiting for them to
Yeah,
start
and if you
selling
know where to
motherboards.
go, certain Best Buys now have motherboards and CPUs.
Okay, so my Best Buy has jack shit when it comes to technology. This entire area lacks in it. It really.
Mm.
Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah,
Anyways.
let's not. So yeah, it's been really interesting that, and this is all comes down to an interesting point. Because of the lockdown, console sales went up, but PC gaming has gone through the roof. Because a lot of people are sitting down, they want to play games, and they're realizing the limitations of consoles because they're not playing 2 to 3 hours at a time. They're going on full day benders.
Yeah.
And watch a PS4 and Xbox One X like scale resolution start coming to a halt because you've been playing for more than 4 hours. The cooling system can't keep up. So people are building PCs. There's people that have built whole new gaming rigs because they're working from home now, possibly permanently. It's been interesting.
Another, I guess you consider, might call it a perfect storm, was right about the same time that they went on lockdown. But also happened to be the Chinese New Year, and most factories in China were shut down for a month already for the New Year, and they had to stay shut down for the lockdown.
Sure.
I was not aware of that. It
So
is
we've got
lots
huge
of-
demand, like sky high, all-time peak demand, and a complete lack of components.
Yeah, I don't want to
Yeah.
get too far into that discussion on other countries. So, just
Well,
saying.
when they came back, they started manufacturing again. So there's warehouses full of stuff. They just can't ship it out because there's just hardly any shipping going on.
or like in my case, I'm ordering stuff out of Europe for my hobby projects. And dude, it took me a month to get a piece of equipment out of I want to say Norway. And I mean, it sat in customs for 2 weeks, just sitting there. It cleared customs, but it still sat in a box for 2 weeks until they sent it to me.
Okay, it's not tech related, but I've been waiting since March to get a nebulizer solution.
Oh, yeah.
Oh dear Lord. Okay, that's basically the end of my little mini rant.
Oh,
All right.
and
Are we ready for an
Wait, Judd
intelligent conversation
Judd wanted
now?
to talk.
Oh,
one
okay.
little airport tidbit, because everybody is shying away from air travel. What is the common form of freight? Air freight. They got a bit of extra room in the luggage compartment of an air commercial liner. You put in a couple boxes of freight, and that's where some of the components come from. That's not happening. So everything is slow boat.
Oh, and what's worse is new regulations, FAA regulations prohibit lithium batteries on airplanes. So
They've been
everything
doing-
everything that has lithium-ion batteries now has to go by boat.
Like all lithium ion, because I can still take my
Any-
laptop on.
You can take your laptop on the plane, but they will no longer accept packages that have lithium-ion batteries.
Yeah,
So cell
and if you have
phones,
your
laptops, all that stuff goes
Okay.
by surface.
if you have your laptop in your suitcase, they ask you to actually take it out of your suitcase before you board the plane and have it with your person. They don't want it going in with the baggage. They want you to have that on your person along with your cell phone. They don't want you to put that in your bag, in your check bag and stuff. They don't want that in the check bag. That's going to be on your person.
Well, I wouldn't put it in the baggage anyways because
I've lost too many
Yeah.
non-electronic
Anyways.
things. Ugh.
Tom, continue.
It's your net. Your
It's your turn.
it's
Okay.
Your turn.
Okay, so I've had problems ordering controllers. So I'm going to have a few examples here, including the new one that's not being used.
And we're talking about
Controllers.
gamepads that you're using on your PC, right?
Yeah, I'm using them on my PC. I've got an Xbox. I even have a PlayStation controller, so I can give demonstrations because I'm not the only one that has issues with these fucking controllers. So let me start with the fact that this right here is a fucking corded controller, okay? I don't care what company you are. This is a corded controller. You see, I can't take this out. This is corded.
And that is an Afterglow Xbox 360 gamepad.
Okay, this is a wireless controller. This is a PS4 controller. This is wireless. This has a battery pack. Wireless, got it? Hold on, I gotta undo a cord.
Is that a Duke controller?
Shh. This is an abomination, okay? Wanna know why? This is not a wireless controller. This is not a wired controller. This disconnects. And the thing is, this is touchy. So the moment you get a little wiggle, you disconnect. And when you are shooting something in Borderlands 3, you really don't want this disconnecting.
It doesn't pause when it disconnects?
No.
The
Not if
original
you're online.
Xbox can do that 20 years ago.
Not if you're online. Nothing pauses if you're online.
Okay, another thing. Why did we go boxier? I have
to
really
be
small
fair,
hands.
That's the PDP controller. The PDP controller is boxier than the Xbox One controller.
Okay,
Than
hold
the
on.
official Xbox One model.
This is
Ooh, I
this
know
is a
that shade
nice
of green.
one. This is a nice one. This one doesn't work anymore, but this was a nice one. And thanks to my roommate Dredd for letting me borrow his controller for this. This is a corded controller. You can make these. You didn't, okay? See? Corded. Xbox One. Corded. Xbox One. Okay. My issue with
question
these
is-
is I can't reach things. I have small hands, so holding it, I can barely reach things. Now imagine if, like me, I sometimes just play with the one hand. You know, you want to be able to set this on your leg, and you want to be able to hit keys. You want to be able to hit buttons and move things. And when you make them so much boxier, and I mean, we're still talking a good size difference here. That's why I got the smaller Afterglow. This is an Afterglow, by the way.
Yeah, I really like the Afterglow controllers.
Yeah. So this is actually quite a bit smaller. Don't bother with the Afterglow PS4 because I've actually held one. They're not much smaller. I have a really hard time with this controller. And it's just because of the way it's set up and it's so wide. For someone with big hands, that's no problem. With someone that can use both hands efficiently, that's no problem. But for someone like me or other people that are differently abled, it's a mess. And I can't stand playing PS4 games because of this controller. Though, I have found that they're also doing the I'm corded, not corded bullshit. Go back to this. We liked this. And the thing is, it's not just them. Nintendo's doing it too.
You're getting sleepy.
No, she's getting annoyed.
I've got one of those too. And a Sega controller. I've got
Yeah, I love.
I've got a smorgasbord of controllers. So yeah, no, I had a little rant.
Little?
Little.
Hey, I've been waiting 4 weeks to talk about the controllers?
You holding something in for 4 weeks, that's actually the most amazing part.
Bite me.
Podcast.
Okay, when I see you, I'll bite you.
Show my amazing artwork full screen there, Bunny.
I had it popped up there for a little bit.
Oh yeah. So we got Bunny's little broken heart over here, and you can see that's the Xbox controller with the removable cable, and you can see here those cables are evil. They're evil little vampires that suck all the fun out of your game.
The funny part is that's actually the charge and play system. That's only meant to charge it. It's not meant to be a data bus. It's meant to charge the battery.
That
pack.
is not
This
quite
has
correct.
no battery pack.
On the Xbox One, the USB cable does provide data to the console, and then when you unplug it, it goes wireless. On the Xbox 360, if you on the Xbox 360 wireless controllers, they do not have a wired communication channel. They have to be wired, and you have to have one of these in order for the Xbox 360 controllers to work, no matter what. Unless, of course, you have the wired controller. But I have like 8 of these things. These little wireless receivers.
Yeah, I've got a few of those running around.
I
here
have
too.
that for the Xbox. I could grab the Xbox ones too. The Xbox.
I was rather annoyed by the fact that I had to buy a different adapter to use an Xbox One controller instead of an Xbox.
Yeah, they went with a form of they went with a variation on Wi-Fi Direct for the Xbox One controller, and instead of Bluetooth, and then eventually they added, instead of whatever the original Xbox controller was. So the Xbox 360 used one protocol, the Xbox One uses a different one. Then they added Bluetooth on top of that. And now the Xbox Series X is supposed to be yet another protocol. And I'm unclear as to whether the Series X controllers are going to be backwards compatible. They should work on a PC. And incidentally, Bunny, they're going to have USB-C connectors now. Just to make things fun.
I actually enjoy the USB-C connectors, but is that the connector to the controller?
Okay, so the Xbox console is going to have it has several USB-A ports on it, just like the square ones you're used to on the computer. And the controllers, the peripheral devices, the controllers, etc., they're going to have C ports on them, like the little round ports on the bottom of some cell phones. This is actually a Lightning port, but
everything should go USB.
They're gonna have these.
Yeah, the flippable ones, so you don't have to worry about which way you're putting it in. I definitely prefer C over micro USB.
Yeah, not having to figure out which way is the right way is.
And the thing is, I actually have micro USB on my computer as well, and my phone.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, another shortage. Google phones, the Google-based phones. Another shortage. Just saying.
Yeah, I have where is it? I have one USB-C port on my computer, so I hung a hub off of that to plug my stuff in. And now I think one of my cameras is on that one right now.
Okay.
Bless you.
Thank you.
I don't know if that camera's hooked up. Let's take a look.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Controller that came with the original Xbox One is using the Wi-Fi Direct protocol, whereas the one that came with my Xbox One X is that plus Bluetooth. I mean, I could hook up my computer without a dongle
Danke.
adapter.
Yeah. But I found that the Bluetooth on these is super unreliable.
Yes.
It drops out a lot, and it doesn't always want to pair. So
Yes.
I have
I
one-
just
Don't worry about
my
it.
rule is if I'm using one of these, I have the receiver, and I have so many receivers anyways. It's like I bought a receiver in the store, and then one came with a kit, and then one came with my Oculus headset, and then it's like I had so many of them. It's crazy.
hey,
Speaking
yeah,
of Oculus
dongles for
headsets, Judd,
days.
we should try a session of Arc in VR.
Okay, so we should move on to the next topic.
Cricket.
And are we ready? Oh, that's right. This one was mine. So we've been talking a lot about books, about movies, about television, about computers. I read, like I said, I read a lot, and I literally spent, like I said, for a couple of years there, I was spending more money on books than I could really afford. What I found recently is I've been subscribing to Amazon's Kindle Unlimited almost since they first launched it. Kindle Unlimited for like $12 a month. You can read any unlimited book you want, and only the ones with the unlimited title are readable that way. But it's just it's like going to the library and just checking a book out of the library. There you are. You can read it when you're done. You check it back in. You can have 10 books checked out at once. While I was looking for, I kept seeing this book, Death Becomes Her, over and over and over again in the Kindle Unlimited library, and I kept like, dude, I don't want to read another vampire book. I've read there's so many vampire books out there right now, and it's like, it seems like vampire and werewolf erotica is like the hot thing, and I'm so tired of. It's like it's everywhere. Yeah, it's like you go to the superhero section, vampire, werewolf, erotica. You go to the romance section, werewolf, vampire, erotica. You go to science fiction, werewolf, vampire, erotica. What? Anyways, turns out this is not about vampires. They call her a vampire, but what she actually is an alien. Well, she's actually a human that's infected by alien nanites that turn her into something that resembles a vampire. And I wish they hadn't used the word vampire because that's not what she is. Anyways, the Kurtherian Gambit is a series of books. It's like 20 books long about this character, Bethany Ann, who basically founds an empire starting here on Earth. Like the first act of the series is here on Earth, and then they move out into space. It's one of those books. I believe the word is competence porn. It's like if you watch the old Mission Impossible TV show. You ever remember in Mission Impossible, they didn't fail. There wasn't like this halfway through the episode, everybody's about to die, and then they just pull out a victory by the skin of their teeth. No, everything goes well, and it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch them pull off their thing. With Bethany Ann, it's fun to watch her kick butt. I will say that there's a lot of cursing in this book, and if you don't like cursing, don't read these books. But for people that it's a good time. It's clean other than the cursing. He doesn't do a lot of crazy sex stuff. He doesn't do any of the, like some of these authors, I swear to God, it's just literate pornography. This guy is not that. This guy is all of his books and all of the LMPBN books are clean. You could have a teenager read it and without worrying about them getting ideas. So I'm going to roll that into go read that book. Go read Death Becomes Her. If you don't enjoy it, then you don't have to read the rest. But dude, it's a fun read. It's a fun read. The whole series is a fun read. I have noticed, and this is what I predicted, and it's coming true. This is a publishing house that started with one guy. The guy's name is Michael Anduril. He just published this one book. Everybody loved the book so much, he wrote another one, and he published it, and he wrote another one. The next thing you know, other people are saying, hey, Michael, I would like to write books in your universe. And he became a publisher. other people are using his universe or even just collaborating with him, and he's like, okay, I'll publish your book under our label. And so now he went from publishing a book every couple of months. They did like 500 books last year. They're doing so many books that
Holy
they no
hell.
longer do individual announcements. At the end of the week, you get a list of books that they're publishing. And what? They didn't go like form a $1 billion company. They didn't have to go buy Penguin. It all happened organically through Kindle. And not even ebooks in general, literally just Kindle has created this publishing house out of nothing, out of one guy writing books in his spare time while he had a day job. Now that's all he does is publish and write. So I'm gonna not take a lot more time. I am just loving that we now are in a world where writers can write and actually make money on their craft without having to be beholden to a publisher that's a gatekeeper, that used to be the gatekeepers to the industry. You're seeing songwriters. Look at Judd turned me on to a performer named Lindsay Sterling a couple of years ago. He sent me this video and I went, oh my God, I'm in love with this woman. This is so amazing. And I have constantly listening to her work for the last like 3 or 4 years.
She now lives in
Where?
LA.
Yeah, she moved from Utah to LA. She's now touring. She's a touring professional musician now, entirely based on her talent, not on a record company promoting her and tarting her out.
Yeah.
Another performer that your teenagers can listen to, and parents aren't going to go, oh my God, that album cover. And we have look at Felicia Day in television. Did she start? And she's basically started by making her own. She just want somebody one day somebody went, hey, let's make our own TV series, and they opened up their checkbooks and made a TV series out of their bank account and put it on YouTube. And now she is like a powerhouse, and a powerhouse of creative work. And that's
hell,
all
she-
because. Go ahead.
She, oh crap, I forgot his name. The guy behind Firefly, the director and creator,
Joss Whedon.
One of the projects he was working on, she was there talking to the studio executives, and they were, throwing the usual flim flam, and she starts pulling out ways of monetizing this and getting the word out that will cost them nothing for advertising budget. And Joss Whedon just commented saying, I'm sitting in the chair next to her, I'm the big name in the room, and I'm the one staring at this woman that no one else in this room besides me knows or has ever heard of, explaining how to do marketing and monetization to people that run a multi-billion-dollar company. And he says it was one of the most surreal moments of his career.
Yeah. And we all think of Felicia Day as this humble little geek girl. She's literally she's a certified genius. I mean,
So, another creator of something that Tom actually enjoys as well, who started from basically nothing and worked her way up. The creator of Steven Universe, who includes a lot of music and tries to keep all of that stuff live. She is absolutely amazing, and the people that she gets on there are basically unknowns. So, I mean, just a small throw out there. So,
Rebecca Sugar. Rebecca Sugar is her name. And my kid loves that show, and I wanted to give my kid a chance to say something, but I don't think we're gonna get it. I don't think we're gonna get them in here. So.
I know another self-publishing success in the sci-fi universe was it got recommended to me on Kindle. I read the introduction and I was already chuckling at the way they described it, and that's the Expeditionary Force. Like, it got recommended to me on Kindle because I read a ton of sci-fi, and I'm sorry, but when it describes evil alien AI, and I'm like, oh god, not this trope, but can't do anything because the rules of its creators prevent it from doing anything. So it's been stuck sitting on a planet for 1 million years. It may have got a little crazy. I was like, okay, that's different. Then it says the alien's name is Skippy. Yes, you know exactly why it was named Skippy. It's like, okay, fine. It was like $2.99.
Full name.
My kid came in like, what did I do? I'm like, you're talking about Steven Universe.
It's like, yeah, he was being a smart-ass little asshole. It's like, okay, Skippy.
I do have a 3D printed Skippy. I'll bring it real quick.
Well, what was his rank on the crew roster for the alien ship they hijacked is literally asshole first class, and he didn't get that was an insult for like 3 or 4 books.
So what
And
is
the guy-
our? Oh,
The guy got turned down by every traditional publisher ever. So he found out Kindle had a self-publishing program. He says, "Screw it, I'll
where'd
give it a
Judd
shot."
go?
He has a 3D printed Skippy the Magnificent. The little guy
Okay, so
basically looks like a beer can.
Oh, look at that. So that is supposed to be a supercomputer AI.
The guy that wrote it, he's an he was a former IT manager. So when he gets into the technical details, he tends to stick to theory as we understand it, and kind of steps out a little ways from that. Some stuff
Yeah.
the AI goes, "You're too stupid to understand it, monkey boy. I'm not going to explain it."
This is why I haven't bothered writing down most of what I like, because I would write a story about a starship that needs to be repaired after a battle, and the battle would be like 10 pages, and then the detail of how they would fix it and all the things they would do and how they would pull parts off of the other ship
would be like 60
would be
chapters.
like 50 pages. Yeah. I'm more interested in the technical stuff than in the
I know there's a fine
action-packed.
art to it, but I just love the fact this guy was able to quit his job
So what's up?
and continue writing books by self-publishing.
Sorry,
You said something?
I said nothing.
Oh, okay. I heard someone say something. Who said an utterance? Okay.
and Justin Bieber,
Uh,
everybody's
uh,
favorite singer, got his start on YouTube. He got found while he was self-published.
Lady
Or,
Gaga. I
posting his
mean,
own.
there's another.
Yeah. And there's nobody in this room who hasn't heard of Lady Gaga.
I will fully admit to having actual CDs by her.
Okay.
I do not have an actual CD. I did buy her. I want to say first album, The
So-
Fame. I bought The Fame because I liked a couple of the songs.
Tom, what is our last topic of the night?
Our last topic of the night is actually, I don't know.
Cricket.
Everybody got a chance to. We got everybody a chance to talk about a topic that touches their lives in some way, and Jim hasn't had a chance to talk yet. So we want to find out if the grumpy old man in the mountain has anything interesting to say.
The grumpy old man on the mountain just pretty much chimed in tonight. I didn't really do anything this week that either anybody would be interested in or I can talk about. Nothing mysterious. It's just things nobody's going to care about but me and the people I work for. I am, however, thinking about starting to talk about Star Trek fan films. I watched quite a few of them, and I think that I could probably do a review of 1, maybe 2 a week. Point out some good ones and point out some that people think are bad that I absolutely love. They don't look great, but the people that are in them are passionate, and I really like that. So I think I'll be bringing a few of those along.
If you wanted to tell people to look for a fan film production company or a particular film, what would you direct them to?
Well, if you want to see one of the best ones out there and the one that unfortunately killed it for everybody else, you're going to want to watch Prelude to Axanar. It's what killed it, and it's because it wasn't a fan film. There were people that worked behind the cameras that were working on it, that worked on Star Trek. A lot of the actors that were in Star Trek were in this film, and Paramount's like, whoa, guys, you can't make something better than us, and they were doing it.
You're not allowed to make a product better than ours.
And
I
it
thought
was
the-
wonderful. And the director that was actually hired to do it as an actual director had done other things. He released a lot of pre-production video earlier this week. And some of it is really quite good. It really was. The special effects weren't finished, but they really had something. They really did, and I can see why Paramount shut that thing right down.
I mean, Paramount and CBS ignored Star Trek for so long. I mean, even the 50th anniversary was like nothing. I mean, they released a box set.
That's because the person who was in charge of it was Moonves over at CBS,
Mhm.
and he made it quite. I mean, he had no bones about it. He hated the show. He thought it was stupid, and he didn't like the fans. So he really didn't care. You know, he didn't care what happened to it, and then they started doing CBS Online, and Moonves got fired for a bunch of Me Too stuff, basically. And I'm not sure who runs it now, but obviously they care again. But
And
regardless,
yeah.
Sherry Rich runs the overall media conglomerate. She's brought in, I forget what her name is now, to run it over Les Moonves, and she really wants to bring Star Trek back up. There's going rumors that it's probably to sell off Star Trek, but to do so, they need to have the.
It needs to be more valuable.
Star Trek is in a lot of trouble financially. The SEC has a deal with them that their stock price has to be kept a certain amount, or they're going to have to dissolve CBS and Viacom. And they're looking at building up Star Trek and selling it off to do their debts. Right now, the person that owns CBS is Redstone, right?
Yeah.
She's been pumping her own money into CBS to keep the stock price up, and obviously she can't do that forever. But that's not really what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the fan films.
Yeah.
And there are some new ones that have come out since the Guidelines came out. They're less than 15 minutes long, and some of them are really quite extraordinary. So that's where I'm going, and I'll see y'all in 2 weeks.
Wait, I remember seeing the preview released on YouTube for Prelude to Axanar. I remember it looking really, really good. Like, I thought it was an actual official movie, and then I find out it's a fan film, or put some quotation marks around that. And I was just like, if fans can do this themselves, why the hell can't Paramount do better?
Well, the thing of it is you have to keep in mind that Prelude to Axanar was fan candy. Fans love history and backstories and things like that, but they don't really appeal to a general audience because you have to know a lot about the Star Trek backstory to know what's going on. They're talking about, Ivar, and I can't remember his name, but I think it wasn't by any other name, but it was Whom the Gods Destroy was an original series episode that had this guy in it, which is this Prelude to Axanar was about him before he went crazy. And, if you didn't know that, the story wouldn't make a lot of sense why they were talking about it the way they did. Star Trek Christie goes, and that's just the way, for fans, that's what they want to hear. And so Prelude to Axanar, it was kind of built to appeal to Star Trek fans just because of what it was. And there were a lot of people that worked in the industry that said, yeah, give us the next hour. Let's see what you do with that. And they never got the chance.
So Prelude to Axanar would have taken place about 2245, so about 10 years before Star Trek Discovery.
Right. And Kirk actually served under him at the Academy. So it was somebody that he knew.
Yeah, because I will fully admit I do love Star Trek, even though I've never managed to get through every single episode of every version of it.
Garth of Izar? I think it was Garth of Izar. I think was the guy's name. It was
Look at
Garth.
that ship, man. I really like when somebody makes starships that it's going to sound sacrilegious of me, but I really like starships that are just a saucer section and nacelles. I found that I don't like the long. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the Enterprise, but this feels more like a realistic ship than those swan-necked Constitution class ships.
Now is that the Ares?
That's the Korolev.
Look and see if you can find a picture of the Ares. I like it better.
Yeah, but I've never watched any Star Trek fan films. I mean, I've seen a couple of snippets of them, but I've never actually watched one of the
I
fan
like that
films.
ship. I think that looks cool.
That's an interesting design. Yeah. Really hate it when you click on a picture and instead of showing you the picture, it takes you to
Everything
everything
else
but.
in the universe.
Well, this is a good page. This has got a lot of different ships on it. But yeah, the Ares.
Whoa, quad nacelle? What the hell?
Those weren't
Oh,
very
Stargate.
popular. Those were not very popular. The story, the reason given in the technical manual is that synchronizing more than two nacelles is really hard. This would be the Constellation class. This is what Picard flew before the Enterprise D.
It looks like they slapped on some extra nacelles above.
Yeah, it's like you take a Constellation class is a lot like a Kelvin class, but with two extra nacelles. Yeah, basically just a saucer section and warp nacelles. There's not really a large engineering hull.
Well, it was just a couple of Kit Bash Enterprises. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, if you guys want to warm up for next week, you can always go to YouTube and look for Star Trek Continues. That is some of the best out there that is done as a fan film. They really are good.
Now, isn't this the one where isn't this Vic Montañez Star Trek?
No.
Where
That was Phase 2.
Phase 2. Okay, because one of these fan guys actually built a set and was letting other people come in and produce their own fan films on his set, on his bridge, his Starship Interior.
That's the guy that did Star Trek Continues, and I can't remember his name either.
Vic Mignogna, whatever it is. Vic something. Vic Mignogna.
Nyonga.
Mignogna, there you go. He looks a lot. I mean, he doesn't look. I mean, none of these guys look like the people that they're replacing. But
Well,
yeah, I think he nails the Starship Captain vibe really well.
He actually looks like a kind of like Chris Pine.
I was going to say he looks more like. Well, to me, he looks more like a Pike.
Is that Grant Imahara?
Yes.
Yeah. Rest his soul.
Now, if you want to look at the ones that'll blow you away, you should take a look at Star Trek New Voyages. It's another fan series. I think it was 12 episodes long. It had one episode, To Serve All My Years, I think it was, that Walter Koenig starred in.
Yeah.
And it's so good that they got sued by the people that own Desilu Studios. And they had to rename, take out the introduction, because they started it just like a real Star Trek episode, along with the Desilu logo and everything.
Is that the one that was airing the period commercials?
That's what they got in trouble for.
They were literally airing commercials from television in 1968.
It looked like 1969.
1969. I say I would have done 71, 72 to actually make it the fourth season.
I still find it funny that the only reason why Star Trek didn't get more television shows was because they didn't have good metrics back then. Like if they had the way that we measure audiences now back then, Star Trek probably wouldn't have been canceled until the 80s.
And I want to say it was the New Voyages that had was it Trek's or Kirk's nephew?
Well, that was a plot device, yeah.
Trivia is that when they canceled Star Trek due to low ratings, the very next year is when the rating system got revamped, and when they went back to look at the metrics, Star Trek was actually a very big deal.
Yeah,
but they already canceled. Oh well.
And of course, that became Star Trek. That would have become Star Trek Phase 2, if obviously, CBS and Paramount wanted to reboot Star Trek and create a new series called Phase 2, which would have had a T.J. Hooker era Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And that became Star Trek: The Motionless Picture.
It did indeed.
I am a bit disappointed that they didn't make Phase 2, because I mean that.
Well, didn't everything that they were basically supposed to do with Phase 2 and beyond get rolled into TNG?
It did. Season 2 especially had a lot of Phase 2 scripts, as well as a little bit later because there was a writer's strike during the TNG era, just like there was a few years ago. And so I want to say Season 3 got cut short because of the writer's strike. So there was supposed to be a huge story arc with the Borg. So you remember the episode where they're running around and they're like, these civilizations are being scooped up wholesale off these planets, and they had a discussion with the Romulans about it, and that was it for like a season. That was supposed to be the beginning of Star Trek's first story arc, and they were going to have these these breadcrumbs laid through the season, and the end of the season was supposed to be all good. Was supposed to culminate in their encounter with the Borg, which became the season ender of season 3, right? But that didn't happen. Didn't happen the way they wanted. But yeah, a lot of Phase 2 scripts got rolled into Next Generation. If you see an episode where people are acting out of character or characters aren't really being used well or like at all, it's possible it's a Phase 2 script that got adapted.
Oh my god. That makes a lot of sense of why season 1 was so bad. Season 2 started getting more interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because I still haven't been able to finish season 1 of Star Trek TNG. Whereas season 2, I've already watched a good chunk of.
So,
go ahead.
So, Jim, do you have anything else on this topic of fan-based Starbase or Star Trek films that you want to touch on before the next? Okay. So, in 2 weeks from now, expect more on that topic.
So this picture, by the way, is from Wikipedia, to attribute them to give them their attribution. I believe this is called The Old Man in the Mountain. And if you look at the side of the mountain here, it looks like a dude's face is sticking out of the rock. Now, in reality, like I told you, I've been reading a lot of Kutherian Gambit and the associated fiction from that. There's like 3 universes in that publishing house. In reality, that's a rock troll. There's been a prison in that mountain for the last 5,000 years. I'm sorry, the last 10,000 years since the last time that Orosiran opened the gates to Earth, which is like our sister planet somewhere else in the galaxy. So that's a real rock troll. He's stuck in the side of the mountain, and he's frozen there like Medusa's victims. And eventually he's going to wake up, and when he does, the town that lives at the bottom of that mountain is going to be decimated.
Okay, so I guess that is it for today's podcast, and I'm going to ask you guys to stick around a little while longer so we can raid someone. I always like to finish my streams off with a raid, and the best way to do that is having a few of you guys spam the chat with as many hearts and just everything positive that you can find in whoever I raid's channel. So let's go ahead and make sure that someone is online and at their chair. Because no one wants to raid an empty chair. You know, it's weird, boring, and unsettling.
And don't forget that Starport Omega's podcast is copyright 2020, Starport Omega crew, all rights reserved, used by permission, etc., etc., etc. Thank you guys for watching.